My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, AKA the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000. Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, AKA the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery.
Welcome to Exit Team Nashua.
Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is Jasmine, and I am your host. Thank you for joining us tonight. If this is your first time watching the show, thank you for watching. Exit Team takes people with the real-life experiences and sufferings of addiction, trauma, and it brings them right into your living room for you for experience, strength, and hope. Tonight we're going to have a really good show.
I'm excited.
Yeah, Bobby's here, and Bobby's out of his mind as usual.
Fuck yeah.
And we have Pat. So we have Pat here with us. So Pat, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So how I like to always start off is what qualifies you to be on this show?
So I'm a person in recovery, number one. So I'm glad that you have a show like this.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in recovery since September 23rd, 2005. So that would be...
So that's a while. That's awesome. Yeah.
Jasmine's in her, she's going on.
Yeah, I was counting the math. And then it was like September 23rd.
Yeah,
that makes him a newborn Libra baby.
Yeah. So let's just ignore the fact that I was in special math classes, but go on.
So I was, alcoholic and a drug addict, but I was part of that whole Oxycontin, era that led a lot of people into heroin. But, luckily, by the grace of God, I found a way out. And, I'm just glad to be able to be on a show like this and show other people that there's hope out there, because there are a lot of sick and suffering, addicts and alcoholics still out there that, haven't found their way.
Yeah.
And it took me... I didn't go to detox one time or go to a meeting one time. I mean, there's plenty of people that I know that have that story, but that wasn't my case. So, I just try to let people know that, if you're out there still and you've been to many, many treatment centers, you just never know when that one time might be your time.
Right, yeah. My philosophy is just treat people with love.
Yep.
Wherever they're at, it doesn't matter if they stay, it doesn't matter if they go, it just treat them with love, because you never know what's going to happen to them, where they're going to end up, or, I know when I was treated with love and respect, I always felt welcome back.
And then another huge thing is so I'm not a one-hit wonder either. It took me a couple times. Yeah. But at least that seed was planted. You know what I mean? That idea of okay, I can actually get better. Every time I went out, it was this is terrible. Yep. This is terrible. So I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
So what was growing up like? Was there because everyone's alcoholism, drug addiction, everyone's different, and it stems from different places, right?
Yeah.
So what was growing up like for you?
So, and when I tell my story too, and I talk about this, I thought I was the only drug addict that came from a good family and had two parents, went to a good high school, I went to college too. So that's part of the reasons why I think my false pride, like an ego, like kept me out of like trying to get clean when I probably should have.
Yeah.
I see that with people every day.
Yeah. Like I had, my head had the stereotypical of what like a drug addict has to be. Like what I grew up with seeing on TV and movies.
Yeah,
of like
homeless, fine.
Street. Well, I was homeless.
No, well, like you get there. But.
Yeah, but like it's like in like I was like sleeping in my car, but like I thought that like you had to like be in like an alley. And you had to like have like a black coat.
Yeah, you're like, oh,
has to be a black coat.
My car's not that bad, right?
Yeah, no, it has to be black.
What about faded black?
Like you have to have like a beard down to your knees, like you know.
So you're
I
talking
can't grow a
bottom
beard,
of the
but
beer.
okay.
Yeah.
So
that's actually really
it
funny
was just,
when Bobby tries.
it's
to grow
that
beard.
stigma, like that stereotypical, you know. So I didn't come from that, so it was really difficult for me to accept like where my life was going. But I grew up, you know, with great family. They taught me right from wrong at a very early age. But I think that like, you know, after doing some work on myself, just like putting all this, it wasn't my family that did it, but I just put a lot of pressure on myself to try to be like that, you know, the prodigal, you know, the best son and all that kind of stuff.
Fit the mold of what I should be.
Yeah, my brother
really
was excelling. He was going, you know, Catholic school, college. He became a lawyer.
Damn him.
So I'm like all these like, you know, so I mean, at some point in my life, I just went in like a different direction. And like the first time that I even, you know, like drank, I could tell that like just something in me wasn't right when I did that. You know what I'm saying? So
How old were you?
I started late. You know, I definitely experimented with drinking. When
You started late. It's so funny. You're just like, I picture you just being so vicious.
Yeah. Oh, I was. Age 21 to 26 is not one person wanted me anywhere near like a circle.
Really? Nobody was like, oh, God, Pat's here.
It's so funny. I can like see
Yeah.
that. Like some people you can't, but I'm just like, yeah, Pat was a vicious drug addict.
Yeah. I think that's maybe my personality, that I'm just like out of my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like any girl that I dated, their parents wanted them nowhere near me.
Yeah.
Like it was but before that, when I was, you know, I went to a Catholic high school, I went to a good college. And I mean, I like to, you know, kind of get wild and had fun and all that kind of stuff, but it really wasn't until, I mean, if you ask any of my friends, like when I was in school and stuff like that, they'll definitely tell you like when I drank, I was a mess. And I was. But it just, I don't know, like I wasn't like a violent drinker. I wasn't, you know, I was a blackout drinker though. So, but you know, I had my period of time for a couple years that I just thought, I basically, when I went to college, I just experimented with everything. It was like in high school when everyone was out partying, doing their thing. I wasn't doing that because my parents were very strict.
It's funny, you did that in college and I did that like middle school.
Yeah,
Like,
well, everybody else was doing it.
High school,
you know,
college.
and trust me, I wanted to, but like the
Yeah.
fear of my parents are from Ireland, and like they have that like brogue,
Yeah.
and they just like, listen, you know what's going to happen to you if you go out and do this. So like I just kind of sat on my hands for a while, just being like, all right, everybody drinks and goes to parties and goes to keg parties by the woods, but like I didn't. I just played sports and, you know, did my thing. But that only lasts so long, because then you think you become invincible, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I got this. And first time I took a drink, like it was like almost like it like set off a compulsion like immediately.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then, you know, I tried like I tried like a new drug like every 3 to 4 months. Like whatever was in at that time is what I did. And then I realized I was just trying to do what everyone else, I thought I was trying to fit in with like the crowd. Little did I realize like they weren't really doing it. I was.
Wait, you guys are telling me that you guys don't do ecstasy on Tuesdays?
Yeah, and Wednesdays and
Don't,
Thursdays.
yeah, you know what I mean?
You
Like,
do it though, right? When you do it, like in my mind that makes sense.
Speaking of
So-
ecstasy, like that's the drug that really just kind of set me
oh yeah.
in for. But like when I was in college, it was like such an in thing to do. But like, you know, my friends would take like one every like 3 weeks. And then I was like, oh no, let's like take them days in a row.
We just like keep trying to have like that like
It's
peak
it's
level of
daytime.
fun
Oh,
yeah.
over and over.
No, I
It's
dress up-
daytime. They're like, what are you doing? It's daytime.
You're like, I love you guys.
It's a Tuesday morning. I wake up at 10 like I should, and you know, just eat a bunch of Molly. Yeah.
I think that this is great though, because I love that we have a variety of guests, because like you came from like a good upbringing, like a good moral upbringing, like a good like society would say like a good upbringing, and like you didn't see yourself going down this road, because we have all different kinds of viewers from like every walk of life. So if someone's like struggling, you know, because I work with a different caliber of people on a daily basis, and some people are like, well, I'm the president of a bank, like I can't have this thing, and I'm like, No, like actually you can, and if you don't treat it, it's going to get much worse.
If they had a section in like your yearbook for least likely to become a drug addict, it would be me.
Yeah.
Because I was the last one to pick up a drink out of my set of friends. I was the last one to like, they were smoking weed at like 9. No. You know what I mean? It was like I didn't even, I was like, no, I can't do that stuff.
And that's like the differentiator, right? Like I could be a really good kid, but I could still be a vicious junkie or addict, whatever you want to call it, right? Like it doesn't
I see
matter.
you trying to be politically correct.
Yeah.
He's like, cameras are on. I gotta switch this word right now.
I gotta have the right
stigma. Oh my God.
No, but like growing up, I was a really good kid. Like it doesn't neglect the fact that like, you know, when I put something into my body, like I can't stop.
And a lot of like, I've been sober a long time now, so I've obviously had to do like a lot of reflecting and to like look back. I'm not even saying step work, just like when you look at a lot of things like in hindsight, and it's just like, I part of me, like, because my life was so and like again, I'm not blaming anyone. My parents know that I never will do that, but like my life was so sheltered that I didn't really get to experience life with mistakes on my own, because I was just like so scared of what my parents might like say to me. You know what I'm saying? They weren't like that. I created this delusion in my head. Yeah. It was like, you know, some of my friends, like they went out and they messed up and they were like, I probably shouldn't do that. Like I didn't get that opportunity until like later in life, and then it just kind of all hit me at once. And like, you know, I didn't know how to act on the streets, like doing drugs and stuff like that. So like I didn't get to really experience those like life's trials and tribulations of being like a, you know, adolescent and teenager, where people make some pretty serious mistakes but learn from them.
Yeah, right, because it's not a failure if you learn from it, right?
Yeah, I didn't have those.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So how did you go from like, you know, like this good upbringing to college to from the age of 21 to the age of 26 living in your car, a heroin addict? Like what happened?
It was like so fast. It was like such a blur.
Isn't it crazy? Like yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what happened to 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
But
I mean, every substance that I was taking at that point, but like pre-opiate, was pretty much damaging my life. But it was like I was young, so like other people were doing it, so like I was showing that I was somewhat functioning, but I really wasn't. And I was on the dean's list like my first 2 years in college too. And then, you know, after that, you could see my grades just starting to slip. And then the oxys came out, and it was my graduation party from college that I tried my first oxy. And it wasn't like, you know, there was like a dealer at my party. It wasn't like my friends were we weren't trying to get anybody hooked. No one had a clue what we were taking. It was just like, oh, it's like we're just taking a perk at, you know, Cronin's graduation party. And little did I know what like taking like one oxy was going to do to me. Like I didn't know. Like, I mean, I was addicted to other things, but like this was different.
It's a different animal.
It's just a different animal.
The first time I took an oxy, I was up all night long throwing up.
Me too.
And right, like slept with my head next to the toilet bowl, like scratched myself everywhere. Went to the work the next day. They were like, "What's wrong with you?" And then like I went and did it again. Like that should have been a sign right there that there was something wrong with me.
I was kind of the other way. Like I did like a perk because I was after the oxy thing.
Well, I did perks like before that, but like it wasn't the same.
No, I did maybe perks like twice, and then I did heroin.
Wow.
Like it was just like
skipped right over.
Yeah,
huh?
no, it was my college roommate.
Oh,
Right, we're in a party at our dorm. He comes. He's like, "Come in our room." I'm like, "Yes, that's always something good."
Yeah.
I'm drunk. He's like, "Hey, so like I got some heroin," and I'm like, "Yeah, why not?"
It just tells you the change of times. Like when
Right.
I was in school, like there was drugs, but it was like it wasn't like, oh hey, let's go sniff a bag of heroin.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
like
how
coke,
much
coke,
more serious
coke,
this
coke.
thing is. I know, right?
But,
We
like,
at the coke phase. Like people don't even know what that is anymore.
They don't. It's like heroin's right in college.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
There are kids like that are high school. They're like their first drug that they're trying is heroin. I'm like, that's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just, but like you said, like I threw up, and then just like a couple of days went by, but for some reason my brain just, like that's how I know now, like I was definitely like an addict. It was like my brain just started thinking about that, not saying, oh wait, you threw up from that.
And it was actually really terrible.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
That 1 minute of like,
But like, yeah.
I could
so
like
then
escape
tried it
racing
again,
thoughts,
and like
my uncomfortability.
I saw that like it was like right after I graduated. It was like, so I'm like in my mind, I'm like, all this stress in my head, like you're graduating college, now here comes responsibility. You're gonna have to get a job, and you're gonna have to do like real life stuff. So my head was just like, when you took that oxy, you didn't really feel that.
Yeah.
You know, so you didn't feel that. So I was like, let me just take that again because I don't like this feeling. So then I started realizing now I'm taking things because of how I feel. You know what I'm saying? And then you know, once you take those, and then it became more consistent, and then one day I got sick, and then once you get sick, then it's over. Like, I didn't know what I was feeling, and then once someone told me, it's like, now, okay, now I'm going to go hang around with, like, these other people. And, like, when I talked to my parents about it, too, they're like, it's crazy that you can go from this kid that, like, was getting a diploma at the Boston Garden, like, for college, and then it just, a blur for a few months, then you're all of a sudden just hanging out with drug addicts. Like, it was so fast for me, it's just, it's just so hard to realize. And then I just end up in detox after detox. But, like, I was doing
How long were you, like, doing, like, the spin shuffle for, like, detox treatment? How many years?
5.
5 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would acquire, like, little bits of clean time, but I did the whole, like, I'm a drug addict, I can drink. So, like, I don't know if I...
One of them?
Yeah. So,
okay,
like,
okay.
yeah, so I don't know, like, if I really had much clean time at all, because when I would get out of rehab, I would, like, drink, and I'd be like, I'm still clean.
Yeah. How'd that end for you?
Back in detox.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Until I got, like, clean. But when
so hold on, how did you get clean? Like, what happened?
So I hit my head off the wall, like, numerous times, and, like, the first detox I was in, it was oxys, and they were like, so this is what your path's gonna be. And I'm like, yeah, it's not me. Like,
So, like, they were, like, setting up an aftercare plan, and you told them to beat feet?
yeah. Well, they were telling me if I don't go to aftercare, this is what's going to happen in my life.
Oh.
And then they were telling me that this is going to go to heroin. And then once I heard the word heroin, I was like, oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I just do like 380s a day. Like, I'm way different than them.
Oh, my God, yeah.
You
So
know?
you had to try, like, every box. You literally had to check off every box. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not here to stop drinking. Let's just get that
Yeah.
right, you know, and everything they told me that was going to happen to me. I, you know, 6 months later, sniffing heroin.
Yeah.
Back in 6 months later, shooting heroin, you know, and that's just the path. And then after you shoot heroin, you know what happens. So I was just like in every halfway house, every sober house, like homeless. My parents were throwing me out.
That was my next question. Like, what happened to your relationships with your family?
It got real bad. So they were in denial for a while too, because as you know, when parents see that going on, they think it's a reflection on them.
Yep.
So they were like, what did I do? What did I do? What this? And you know, Irish families don't really know how to react to that kind of stuff, so they just like get crazy and like they didn't know what to do. They were calling priests, they were calling this, they were calling it was yeah, it was like a random priest would just show up at my house. I'm like, this is
Performing
weird.
exorcist?
Yeah, like like
Father.
I'm not a demon right now, you know, but I could tell like my parents really.
So you did a lot.
Yeah,
you did a
my dad got interviewed for like a news article one time down in Boston, and he said that when I started doing heroin, that the devil showed up on his doorstep. I just got the chills now just thinking about like when he said that, because it was true. Like it was like the stealing and the robbing and.
What did your family do for themselves?
So they didn't do anything in the beginning because they didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, and then you know the more and more people they started talking about it, and someone suggested them to go to Al-Anon.
I love it.
Dude.
Game changer.
You love it.
The first-
Did you love it?
They went to one meeting.
My
They
phone
walked.
just
This is
always
them walking
people.
in the house, and they're like, "You gotta go." I was like, "Where did you guys just come from?" I'm like, "Is this like you didn't like? I don't even know what Al-Anon
hear it all
was."
the time. I'll be like,
One
with a
meeting.
bunch of guys will be like, who here's parents have gone to Al-Anon? They're like, everybody. I'm like, what happened? One meeting told me to get out.
Yeah. If you're using, you don't want your parents there.
It's great.
But now that I'm sober, it's the best thing in the world.
But if viewers are watching this and you have a loved one struggling, you know, check out Al-Anon. We have
And learn to cope.
Yeah,
Huge.
learn to cope.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We actually, if you check out our Facebook page, I Am a Heroin Addict, we have a bunch of resources up there, and we'll put some more up too for anyone watching. Resources for family, because as you were just describing, this is a family disease. It impacts every member of the family.
Oh yeah.
Family is like the most important like thing to me. Like we've been a tight knit family like my whole life. Even my like cousins, uncles, like they all came in to try to help too. So like this affected everyone. My brother, his wife. You know, it went down the line. But when they started seeking help, it made, you know, they raised my bottom. Because like my mother, I'm like a mama's boy. Like I don't hide that. And like sleeping in a car and like you know, one time I pulled up sleeping in the car in front of their house because like that's how much of a asshole I am.
I've done that.
Like just to make them
I've
see
done that.
how
Look what
horrible
you're doing, so-
right. You know
I've
what I
done
mean?
that.
To torture my mother's life, and my mother would like come outside.
And
like,
in your mind, it made perfect sense.
yeah, like it was,
you're
and I
like,
look back, I'm like, oh my god, I sucked.
No.
But like to see my mother crying and stuff
That's
like
so
that.
tragic. Like to see you outside, like she doesn't know if you're
Awful.
dead or alive. Like I found 2 kids
Yeah.
overdosed in a car a couple weeks ago, and it was
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
yeah. And my brother's a lawyer, so he told my parents they could section me. So
Nice.
so that happened. Didn't get sober after that, but shortly thereafter I did.
Was a seed planted during that section? Because I hear a lot of pros and cons. I've never been
Yeah.
sectioned because New Hampshire doesn't have
Yeah.
any sectioning. But I hear a lot of pros and cons. I hear success stories, and
Yeah.
then I hear people was like, it was the worst thing ever.
I'm a big fan of Section. If you see, I've done a bunch of like interviews on Section 35 and a bunch of articles on it, just because, and it's not just because of my experience. Like I see with Section 35, you know, and there's research that can show positive and negatives. We know how that can go.
Right.
You can get positive.
You can spin whatever outcome you want.
All I know is
Yeah.
that we're at a part in this crisis that if it's going to save someone's life for that day, like you can't blame a section on why someone uses the day they get out of the section. The reason why they use is because they probably didn't go to aftercare.
Yeah.
Or they probably didn't want to stay sober.
They weren't
Like, It's
ready.
not because of the Section 35.
Yeah.
We're
You know
at
what
the
I'm saying?
point though where like I'm tired of people dying.
I wish
So if a section
we've
keeps them
lost
alive,
3 members
like
of our community this week.
Yeah.
I
I'm surprised
wish-
Yeah.
Nashua doesn't do it.
I
Rhode
wish-
Island doesn't do it either.
They did.
No.
So a member of my family struggles with this as well, and so they struggle with meth and heroin, and they were trying to kill themselves, and so we called the cops, and so in the state of New Hampshire they couldn't section him for his own safety because he had drugs in his system, and I was
Yeah.
like, he literally just tried to kill himself, like actively, and they wouldn't even take him in. I was like, New Hampshire, you really need to tighten it up a
No,
little
I've
bit.
literally brought a kid to the hospital. He was all messed up. Told the hospital staff he was going to kill himself. Told the police he was going to kill himself. Out 12 hours later.
Yeah, wouldn't fly in mass, huh?
Yeah. No, definitely not. No.
We need to do something. This is our community.
Yeah, so I mean,
This is
I
our
think the
community.
seed, you know, and I was going to 12-step meetings at that point. Like once I'm like, you know, when you're going in and out of programs, you're getting exposed to
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of different stuff. And then I just think in the end, like that last time I got high, it might sound cliche, but like I was getting high because of how I felt, and then I stopped because of how I felt. Like it wasn't working. It wasn't that the dope was bad.
It's
Yeah.
the
probably
shittiest
was,
thing when
but
they
still, like
just
it wasn't doing anything to me. And this last time I literally went to my father. I got like on my knees like a 2-year-old and literally begged him. I said, I don't want to live like this anymore. So usually I don't go to treatment on my own. It's
Yeah.
usually like the cops or my like fear of being homeless. So I finally was just like, this isn't for me. And I don't know, you know, God was just doing for me what I couldn't do for myself, and he put me in like one detox, and then I was a day away from not having a bed at another spot, and then someone lost a bed, so like that gave me another opportunity. And then I just had to look at my history and be like, you know, I'm always in and out of these programs. Maybe I need to go to like a real tough program.
Yeah.
That just doesn't let you walk around, and you know, so
Amen
that
to
told me that I
that.
was starting to like actually care about what like was going on. I would never say, let's go to this tough program. I would say, let's go to the easiest program possible.
Get my cell phone.
Cell
text
phones,
the
girls.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they put this paper in front of me, and they're like, you need to go to a program that you can't have a cell phone, you can't talk to girls, and then they kept going, can't have a cell phone, talk to girls. I'm like, why do you keep just saying those two things, you know? So I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
you guys are in charge. And they sent me
Yeah.
to a program in Quincy that's like literally like probably the like toughest halfway house in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And that's where I just like learned like, you know, that this wasn't just about the drinking and the drugs. Like it was an internal thing that was going on with me, and I had to like go real deep inside and, you know, step work and a lot of, you know, solution-based stuff that, you know, made me like realize what I had to do.
And it doesn't
No.
make sense at first. Like when you
No.
say like step work and internal work and solution based, like I get that and I feel that through and through. But when like I first had exposure to stuff, people say that to me, I'd be like, what the hell are they
No.
talking about?
It's
yeah.
I'm the problem?
Yeah.
No, I just got hooked on this stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I couldn't put it together like, okay, for some reason I find reality unacceptable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at the bottom line, like I find reality unacceptable and I can't deal with my own thoughts, so I use anything I can to escape.
Yeah.
So the show flies by and it's almost over.
Yeah, wow,
and we
we're
haven't
fine
even
now.
got to talk about how good your life is, because that's
Yes.
what the show is about.
Yes.
Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope, right? And like we know how progressively bad it got, but I want tell us like what's
Yeah.
going on today.
So yeah, life's good. Been sober a long time, and I think part of that is because when I did get sober, and like in the beginning, I was like crushing meetings, doing all that kind of stuff, which I still do. Very involved in that
Yep.
still. If I was taught anything, I was taught to come outside the box and get involved in the community.
Yeah.
So when I got sober, everyone was dying and no one cared. Now at least people somewhat care.
Yeah.
So I started like making like not like these stinks about it, but I was like I started showing up at all these like rallies and community events, and I was the only addict there. I'm like, why am I the only one here? Like you guys, it's great what you guys are trying to do here, but like you need some like of us.
Yeah.
So I just started like showing up to random places, getting involved in learning to cope, getting like rallying like my, people that have been sober like, shorter time than me. Just like, I was like, if you want to get involved with this stuff, get involved with it. And that just skyrocketed my sobriety into like getting in the field of treatment and working in treatment. And that's what I always wanted to do. Like I worked in like corporate America before, and I was like, this isn't doing what I need to do inside. So I just, jumped in working in, the field of treatment, and it just like took it to another level, just staying involved. I got this amazing job a few years back that was like a recovery advocacy organization, like on a state level. So it just put me in, I just basically got paid to run around with people and like change policy. Change how addiction is looked at, like in Massachusetts. Yeah. And just I don't know.
That's
I just
powerful.
Yeah, it was like the best job in the world.
Yeah.
And it just introduced me to like senators and state reps that like care about us.
Yeah.
Like just like
which we don't.
Don't be afraid of your story.
Right. Yeah. That's
like
amazing.
Stop being afraid of what people are gonna think. And I just said, I'm a heroin addict. And I don't care what you think of me.
Yeah,
I
love that.
I'm an honest guy now. I pay my bills.
Yep.
I have a car. Like things that like I never thought I would have. And when we tell people that, that changes. Like everybody knows the problem. Yeah. Like enough of like what the problem is. Let's show people what it's like when we change.
Heroin, it's like the person. Yeah. I mean, heroin sucks, but.
No, and it's the fact of like, again, you were saying like addicts get stigmatized. Yeah. Right? Like you never thought you could be one. Yeah. So you got to show them what like a recovered addict, whatever, looks like, and the fact of like.
This guy.
Yeah. No, and it's just like half the time you don't even know who you're talking to. Yeah. You're talking to a guy. You're talking to I don't know, Marty at the office. Great guy. Yeah. Hey, he's in recovery. Nobody knows that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I just did that, and then that put me in position to be able to, obviously, be a part of helping start Northeast in Quincy. Yeah. And it's just
it's a phenomenal program too.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Too.
And when you just look where you are to now, I got married, 4 months ago. That's awesome. I'm having a baby.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
How happy are you,
it's
like
just,
internally?
I get the chills even just when I think about it. Just because when I look back where I was like this homeless, hopeless drug addict. Like my parents were planning my funeral, and when I say planning it, like they literally like talked to places that like my parents' prayers are what like kept me alive for a very, very long time. I believe
that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work though. Like it's not that it's not like rewarding, but like for me to stay sober, I try to do a lot. We
have to work so hard, but like we get so blessed. Like people are like, doesn't make sense. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Like I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I don't go to bed till like 11 o'clock at night. And people are like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, you don't get it. Like I get to shine bright because I grind hard. You know,
sky's the limit. It's just sky's the limit. Like when people told me, no matter what you want, like when you get sober, you can do anything.
Yeah, you can do anything. And you really can. And I'm like, it's so cool.
Exactly, and now we actually have the ability to.
Yeah.
Like how many times were you thinking about like all the amazing things you wanted to do, but literally couldn't?
On a couch. Not enough with a cigarette.
Or curled up in a ball sack, like oh.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. We literally have 1 minute left. Okay. So, your camera.
Hi.
Someone's struggling. What would you say to them?
So I'd say, especially when it comes to the crisis that's going on right now, like reach out to, I'm sure there's information on this website. Know you're not alone. I was taught that like you can never do this on your own. Like I know I can't do it on my own. There's so much help out there, and it's probably going to be tough for you to like swallow your pride and like have to be open about what's going on with addiction. But we've come a long way in regards to like trying to remove this stigma. So just know you're not alone. I'm out there to help anybody, and I'm sure both of you are out there.
Phone's always on.
To help anybody. But just know that like it doesn't matter how many times you've tried to do this. Like you have to value your life enough to know that you're worth it to get sober.
So if you're watching, you're struggling, or your loved one is, you can get resources on I'm a Heroin Addict from Facebook. You can always access this show and reach people on YouTube, Exit Team Nashua. You can look Pat up on Northeastern Addiction Treatment Centers, and you can find Bobby and I on Facebook. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. That was awesome.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, we need you. Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is Jasmine, and I am your host. If this is your first time joining us, thank you. We're happy to have you here with us, and if you have been watching us, welcome back. So I'm excited for tonight's show.
Me too. Another person from Connecticut. We got it
From Boston, though.
You're in
my
Connecticut.
program's in Connecticut.
Like,
yes.
so you're from Connecticut. Let's go with that.
Okay, all right. So one really cool thing about being in recovery is you get to meet a lot of people, right? And so I met Justin a couple weeks ago.
Indeed. At
Yeah.
the Blueprint Recovery Open House.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was. It
By
was
the
a great
way,
event.
It was my first time going to an open house for a facility to
Oh,
open like
really?
that. Yeah, and
Okay.
I had a great time.
Yeah, it was a good one. They're great people, and they got a great program there.
Yeah.
And plus, they had cigars.
They did have cigars,
Yeah.
and for someone that lives a keto lifestyle like me, I was very pleased because they had keto-friendly food.
Wow.
Ooh.
Did
Yeah.
they have keto cigars?
They did not.
Oh.
I did. I would probably have thrown up if I did the cigar. So
You got to write him a letter.
shout out to Blueprint for the cigars.
Yes, shout out.
I should have went then.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll just make sure you come to the next one.
Yeah, you can go to their next opening.
So Justin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I, as you know, I do outreach for Turnbridge in Boston. So I got the privilege to work in this field and spend my days helping people get access to treatment. And I get to work with a lot of great people. I travel around and meet with programs and therapists and families. I facilitate a weekly parent group down in
awesome.
Boston.
That's
and-
really cool.
Yeah.
We should get the information for that for
Yeah,
our page.
yeah, for sure. I'll get that over to you guys. I'm a trained therapist, a licensed social worker. I have a background in direct care, so I did that for a while before I got into the outreach side of the business. And before that, I got into this business like most of us through my own sobriety and recovery process. I'm in long-term recovery. I just had my 10th sober holidays, which was
That's insane.
yeah, it was quite a milestone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, that 10 sober Christmases and 10 sober New Year's, even harder to believe. I remember the pain of my last non-sober one quite intimately, and yeah, just recovery is amazing. It changed everything for me, and I got to show up for life, which I couldn't do before. So I'm grateful to be in recovery. I'm really grateful to work at Turnbridge and spend my days. This is work for me. Like hanging out with you guys, this is work.
That's
So
the
it's
best
a
job
real
ever
privilege.
because I
Yeah.
think we're pretty cool. Me
You
and
guys
Bobby,
are cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's well, he knows what's up with the
I
pizza.
hang around Bobby, so
This
it
guy.
like elevates my coolness.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's rubbing off. So you talked about 10 sober New Year's, right? And then
Yeah.
you kind of alluded. What was the 11th? The one right before it, like.
The one right before. Well, do you guys know what a UPI is?
No.
An unidentified partying injury. I haven't had one in 10 years, and I remember the one from my last non-sober
so
New Year's.
good.
Yeah, I had this horrible bruise. Like I don't know how you can even get a bruise that long on one appendage, and I was limping through the streets of Boston out of an apartment that I did not recognize. You may know the experience of waking up in a room you've never seen before.
Jersey.
Yeah.
I'd always wake up in Jersey.
A state.
Yeah.
A different state.
Yeah, no, a place in Jersey that I had no idea.
Yeah. So, yeah, it started innocently enough that New Year's. It was a good time with friends. I remember a couple of whiskeys. I remember drinking some whiskey that tasted really bad, but back in those days, of course, you got to fight through that, you know. And yeah, I woke up some hours later the next morning, and I remember the conversations I had with my friends where I would do that thing where you walk away from a night like that and try to laugh it off,
Yeah.
But
It wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't
yeah.
that bad. It was.
oh, this
you
was
know,
fun. This was funny.
Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, everyone drinks like me.
Yeah.
We all wake up in places we don't recognize all the
Yeah.
time.
Hold on,
Just
was that your
lunacy.
first UPI?
Oh no, I have a long history
I have
of
another
UPIs.
question though before we
Yeah.
get into the history. Did you make that up?
No, it's
I've
not
never
original.
Heard that. It's
You
really
should. You
good.
could have shamelessly
would've-
stolen that, and I would have 100%.
Me
Yes,
too.
yes, it's an original. No, I definitely heard it from someone. I'm an honest, sober man today. I cannot take credit for a clever catchphrase I did not invent.
That's good. That's good. Integrity 100.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that was my last, drunken New Year's. This year, my wife and I took my daughter to Cape Cod to intentionally avoid the crowds. We stayed up till midnight and fell asleep by about 12:02.
That sounds nice.
It's a middle-aged New Year's. Yeah,
that's
good.
nice.
Yeah, I was stoked about it. I remembered the night. We had a good time.
Yeah, no, and like that's huge. Going from weird bruises in a weird apartment to with your family, fully conscious, enjoying the moment, being in the moment.
Yeah.
The fact that you even have a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't keep it together in any relationship before. I was good at alienating people and being selfish. And, I don't want to mischaracterize, the entirety of my life before I got sober, because I did plenty of things that I'm ashamed of. But, the truth of the matter is I do have friends from those days and relationships that were important to me. But for me, it was really just more about myself and how I felt about myself and what I wanted to do, how I wanted to be, and just growing up. I was just a little child at 29 years old, and it's nice to be half a grown up at 39 years old.
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, there you go. I feel like I'm starting to get there too. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Incremental adulthood is worthwhile.
Yeah,
It's a great term. Is that an original?
That's original. I just made that up.
Wow, on the spot. Wow.
There you go.
Clever and witty. This is good.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Now I forgot what I was going to ask.
What do you guys typically ask people on the show?
We just let it flow.
Yeah.
It's not about
I
us.
mean-
We let the spirit move it. We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? Well, you had said you're half an adult. So which made me think about childhood. Because so some people, like someone like myself, I can identify with just being internally uncomfortable from my earliest memory. And so the moment that I had found alcohol, it was immediately a sense of ease and comfort that I had been looking for. At 9 years old, I was like, oh, okay, like this is good. I need this.
Oh, wow. You got an early start.
Yeah, absolutely. I was drinking alcoholically by the age of 12, full-blown drug addict by the age of 14.
Oh, wow.
So, and I didn't get sober till 32. So,
Man.
some
You're
years
a long
in there.
run out there.
Yeah. So what, was there anything that was off, or did you, not even externally, but maybe internally, or who knows? Maybe someone was really off externally.
Yeah. I mean, I came from a really good, comfortable upbringing. My father is a very talented surgeon, and my mother stayed home. I'm one of 5 kids. We lived in all the comfort of suburbia.
Yeah.
Went away to Cape Cod on nice vacations. I played hockey. I played sports. I went to private schools, and things were going pretty well for me. I didn't have. I don't have any external circumstances really to blame. This on. It's I always kind of felt uncomfortable to some degree, and was really. I've always been obsessed with others' perceptions of me. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Kind of growing up, just desperately wanting to be cool. And I moved schools a couple of times. In 4th grade, I went to this all-boys private school, and then I switched from that school to a co-ed high school in 9th grade. And all of these were, very great educational opportunities that my parents afforded me. But kind of the social transitions were, just a little awkward. I remember when I first went to high school, I hadn't been in school with females in 5 years. And it was a tough transition of just kind of being
I feel like
how
that's
do
an
I
age
fit
where
in?
people feel awkward anyways.
Yeah.
And then to be like, oh, hey, by the way, here's females.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's oh yeah, you've been to this all-boys private school, totally sheltered environment, and go figure it out. But I don't know. I mean, I had, I think, a pretty normal childhood. I mean, I do come from a big family, and my dad, with his medical career, was
always really, really busy. I mean, we saw him at night, but he's, you know, God bless him, has been working like 12 plus hours a day for like his whole life. You know, he's
Doctors work so hard.
yeah, he works
Our medical
super
director
hard.
works so hard.
Yeah.
Where I work.
Yeah.
Another
But-
shout out to all the doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big up doctors.
Seriously.
But no, I mean, I had a pretty nice life. You know, I just kind of, when I got to, I really picked up steam with my using, and probably like my sophomore year of high school when I was around 15.
Sophomore year.
And it was just kind of something that I really wanted to do socially. Like I somehow came up with the idea that, you know, this was going to make me cooler, it was going to help me have fun, make it easier to interact with girls, and all those things were true. You know, drinking and smoking weed worked for me in that regard. And the thing about my experience is just the progression was so gradual. You know, it was just very incremental, like where I was, you know, first I was drinking and smoking weed, and of course I would never do anything else. And then like somebody who I thought was cool had a little coke, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll try that. And everything was so kind of spur of the moment. And then I've done that, so, you know, why wouldn't I try it again the next time it's around? And you know, experimenting like with hallucinogens and stuff, ecstasy, mushrooms in high school, like all that. You know, I did it and I just kind of liked it, you know, and I kind of wanted more. And at various times I would want to kind of ratchet it back. I would do things that would concern me.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I would get blacked out and do something embarrassing. I would pick up another UPI, you know, and be like, where did that come from? And
I love that. I love that. I need to start using that.
Yeah.
I need to like put that in my word bank.
yeah.
So
And I don't know. I mean, if those things are influenced by things that came from my childhood, like, you know, who knows? Like, I didn't get enough time with my dad because he was busy. I mean, if something like that was an influential factor in the way things ended up for me, it was very subtle, you know. And I do think there is something to that, you know. In a lot of people's experiences, you know, you talk about like trauma, and we're good at identifying like the big T traumas, but you know, there's a lot of subtlety, like little T traumas, and just, you know, emotional harshness or things like that. And I don't know, I certainly experienced that, particularly in my all boys private school. You know, that was not an environment where I was comfortable. I was always fighting with the authority figures but I don't know. I mean, I think it's hard to explain, you know, kind of why I ended up where I did, other than that, like, I liked to party.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's so many factors that you can't put it on just one thing.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't say like, oh, I'm an alcoholic because this thing happened to me, or like I was bullied, or this happened, or it's like it was like a perfect storm of everything.
Yeah, biopsychosocial, you say.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then like, but like, you know, I could learn to fix myself, but if I try to figure out that one point that made me who I am today, I'm going to drive myself insane. You know? And then will it really make a difference? I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not. I mean,
So what happened?
when?
Like what happened to make you want to change?
That's a good question, and I had sometime after I left college and moved down to New York, I spent about 6 years in New York after college in the underground house and techno DJ scene, where I led a New Yorker double life.
I feel like that. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
You meet Justin, and he's so like mellow and reserved and put together, and he's just really down there raving.
Yeah. You just thought I was a normal middle-aged recovering dad. Oh no.
No. Wait till this beat drops.
Yeah. Hot tracks on the ones and twos.
Oh my God! Will you make our soundtrack for the show?
Sure. Yeah.
So great.
I haven't messed
Bobby
around.
and I used to have grills.
You did?
Yeah. I'll have to show you a picture. It's quite embarrassing. Mine was up top.
Impressive.
From the hard streets of Monroe.
So.
Were you a rave child at all?
I did go to raves.
Okay.
I did it. It wasn't like a huge thing. Like I would do
Yeah.
it. Like I went to like Canada, and I used to go to like underground raves up there sometimes. I was more of like a festival kind of girl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like fish?
No, I
No?
don't.
Okay.
I just really liked drugs.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I hated
Yeah.
electronic music and I hated festivals, so I just did a ton of drugs to try to like them for like 2 years.
That'll work for a while.
My friends would always be going, and I would just go.
No, but yeah, I moved down to college and kept the party going, for a while with that underground house and techno scene.
That's
and,
enough to like just fuel the soul for all the energy, until all of a sudden it's just not working anymore.
Right. No, it worked very well for like the first half of the time I was in New York.
Yep.
I was fired up about the DJ scene. I was energized. I was, I discovered the internet. I was on these underground house and techno message boards.
those.
They're all gone.
Oh,
They're gone.
what?
Yeah.
Oh no.
RIP Rhythmism. Yeah, there was this amazing message board called Rhythmism. Sometimes you'll see people that were around in those days on Facebook write message boards were better, and it's true. The internet culture in those days
I feel
was
like
awesome.
if we search hard enough, we could find an old video of Justin.
There's a couple of things floating around.
Yeah.
If you comb through my FB photos, there's a thing or two.
Okay, all right.
I've taken down most of the ones that any sort of embarrassing, like
What
You
was
really-
your DJ name though?
Justin R.
Oh,
Dude,
Wasn't that cool?
there's so many opportunities.
Yeah, I know.
J Beats.
DJ names are like lame now as a construct, but whatever. I mean, the times were good for the first half.
Okay.
And then
back on track.
I was meeting DJs from around the world. Like I brought people over from England and Germany to play
That's an
parties.
experience.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was fun. Guy would get records of people I liked and like get in touch with them and bring them over to New York to play parties in these like really
playing,
cool
like,
underground
really big
clubs.
Parties?
They were mostly small. I mean, a few hundred people.
Okay.
I never
Big
beca-
to me.
That's decent size.
Yeah, I know. I played in the basement of a club called Centrofly while the Chemical Brothers played on the main floor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was one of my bigger moments of DJing time. But after a while, like something just changed where I wasn't really feeling that happy. I was getting to be 25, 26. My friends were kind of advancing in their jobs, and I was definitely not advancing out of the job that I started with, which was sort of a menial job in the legal field, and I really wanted to.
Yeah.
And I would apply for jobs and like ask people who worked in places I thought were cool to hire me, but it didn't really seem to be working out, and I couldn't figure out why.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
And I just wasn't really feeling too hot, that fresh and energized feeling and being all fired up for the party every weekend it just slipped away somewhere. And I started seeing a therapist. I thought I was depressed. The therapist recommended I should go to inpatient treatment. I threatened to punch him and fire him,
That's so funny.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
I tried to strangle my first clinician in rehab.
wow.
yeah.
I get it.
I was like, how dare you? Do you know that like my job and family would find out about me if you did that to me? Like, and the guy was like, all right, dude, you're like a complete psycho.
That's great.
He was
Oh
like,
my God.
I'm just reacting to you coming in here every Monday saying like you've been out awake all weekend doing cocaine and after hours parties. And I was
Yeah.
like, everybody does that. And like, I remember like the depth of my delusion was this guy, like, I don't know this, but I was pretty sure he was gay. And I'm like, dude, like all gay people do like club drugs. Like this guy, like he's probably going out like partying all weekend and just like lying to me about it. Like, and I really believed that. Like, I was a delusional drug addict.
Love it. It's not me. Everybody does this.
Oh yeah, I
Right?
mean, it's just unbelievable. Like the depth of my delusion, and like, I had never thought that about anyone before, but like this guy is sitting in the seat reflecting what I'm doing onto me. So like I'm making up all these things.
Yeah, perfect deflection.
Yep, I'm going to project all my insecurities, doubts onto this person.
Yeah.
So I'm not alone. I'm not the one that has a problem. You do.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, everyone's just like me. Like this isn't, this isn't abnormal because I definitely don't need to go to rehab. And I mean, and I never did. I never did go to inpatient treatment, but I'm a big advocate of outpatient therapy. You know, I think, you know, I love what we do at Turnbridge and, you know, the programs that we collaborate with. I think we make a big difference for a lot of people that need us, but there are a lot of people out there too that can get well, you know, in their homes by going to outpatient therapy and meetings in the community. You know, people do have success with that. So like when I get calls to help people, I'm like, what are you willing to do? Like, would you go see an outpatient therapist? You know, and I think that can be a really great place to start for people, especially when you're, you know, pre-contemplative. You might not be ready to be like smacked with all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you just try and force it on someone, they're going to be resistant.
Yeah.
So, and this brings up a really good point too, because like I was like the bottom of the barrel kind of drunk, you know what I mean? So I needed like a long-term inpatient, but not everyone does. And it's really good to have all these different resources because everyone comes from a different walk, and like what I need is different what Bobby needs, and what's different what you need. So
and I think a lot of media attention focuses on stories like yours, particularly in the context of the opioid epidemic. I mean, alcohol use, tobacco use, far more impactful public health problems than than opiates. I mean, much more damaging, and no one spills a drop of ink about it because the opiate epidemic is what it is in terms of the story. Yeah, and people can die quickly. So like, that's the
it's like alcohol's a slow burn.
Right.
When you see somebody who's like dying from like liver failure or something, that takes time to get there.
It does.
You know, it's not little Jimmy down the street who was, you know, walking yesterday and now he's dead.
It's still
and his
just
mother
as
found him.
bad internally suffering, and people are still just as miserable, but I feel like it tends to be minimized because, you know, you don't heroin, you're done. Fentanyl, you're just like, you're done.
And I'm not saying we don't need to aggressively address that epidemic. We absolutely do. We need to put all the resources we can into helping people get over opiate addiction and, you know, and complex polysubstance addiction. You know, like a lot of...
That is so huge.
Oh, yeah.
It's so huge. And then people are just like, well, my doctor prescribes for me. So
it's
like, well...
I mean, if you know problematic opiate addicts, like they probably have benzos in their story somewhere, you know.
Coke.
Back in the day, I used to just like go to this doctor for this, that doctor for that. I mean, they've made it a little bit harder to do that nowadays, but we just give a shout out to doctors, but there are doctors that prescribe irresponsibly as well. So
and I think just a lot of them are ill-informed, you know.
They mean well.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, I mean, it's I go to a primary care practice at Mass General Hospital. It's impossible to get an appointment. You know, we're at a place in the healthcare system where there are like people toiling away, but they're just overburdened, you know. And this is in a nice hospital where, you know, they have sort of an upscale clientele. Forget about like people of lower socioeconomic means and
this is
areas
why we
that
need community. This is community. Everyone needs to be involved, not just right for the epidemic, but like you just said, like public health. You know what I mean? Like the more that an individual gives and the better that the community improves, the better quality of life for everyone. Like my life improves when the people around me's life improves, and you know.
I mean, if you think about public health, and like we're basically there with legal weed, right? Like that's happening. So
I'm for legalization of all drugs.
As am I. I'm a harm reductionist. I believe in legalize it. You know, all that. But like, the big but is like everything like this gets distilled down to these simple like Facebook headline yes or no questions. Like you're either, you know, a prohibitionist that doesn't get it, or you're in favor. And what about, yes, I'm in favor because of the social costs associated with marijuana being illegal, like, you know, the jailing of black and brown people for nonviolent drug offenses who are rotting in prison for nothing.
And then they become a felon and they can't get a job, and then, you know what I mean? Then what are they supposed to do? They're stuck in this place, so they have no choice but to go out and sell drugs again to provide for their family.
So I can't, you know, as a social worker and social justice advocate, I can't abide that, and that's why the main reason I think we need legalization. But that needs to be accompanied with reasonable public health dialogue around the dangers of marijuana for the adolescent brain. Very established science. You know, we know that And there's people that will take me to task for this and say, well, we don't know, the science is incomplete. I mean, I've seen what I need to see clinically, personally, and research-wise that has convinced me it's a pretty good idea to discourage young people from using marijuana,
Well,
or at least present them with data.
In other countries where they have legalized drugs, they have shown just by by decriminalizing it, it's no longer as desirable. So like younger children aren't as interested in experimenting with it because it took that temptation of desire away.
Right, and I think that takes a little time, but long term, that's what happens.
And then you got to think about it too. If it's not decriminalized, it's not so much of a scary thing to ask for help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was one of my biggest fears, like, oh, I'm going to treatment. Like, everybody's going to know I'm a criminal. Well, A, yes, I was under investigation. That's neither here nor there. But, like, you know, if it's less, like, stigmatized, I'm going to feel okay with asking for help. Or at least a little less ashamed.
Yeah, Portugal has pulled that off. You know, they have
that's what I was
love
thinking
what
of.
they've done.
Yeah.
In Vancouver, they have the safe injection sites, and they're moving towards that as well.
Yeah,
So
I believe we should have that in Massachusetts and Boston. People are ODing in the McDonald's bathroom. Like
here, I found 2 kids OD'd outside. What was it, last month? 2 kids
you?
OD'd outside my house.
Yeah.
I did not act like a trained professional. I was a raging lunatic out in the street. Yeah, here it happens here. So we're out of time.
All right.
I know, right? We're out of time. So your camera, you got in 30 seconds. What would you say to someone struggling?
You're not alone. It gets better. Sober is a much better way of life. And it's totally achievable for you or anyone. Reach out and ask for help. You can't do it alone.
Yeah, this was a great show.
Yeah.
I loved the topic. I loved how it flowed.
Yeah,
it was really good. I love that I have some new vocabulary to utilize. Thank you.
UPI.
Yeah, UPI. Everybody put that in the word bank.
Yeah. Perfect.
So if anyone's struggling, you can reach out to us on Facebook. I'm a heroin addict. You can message us. We'll message you back. If you're looking for resources, we'll help provide you with resources. We don't provide any kind of treatment at all, but we are there to provide resources. You can look Justin up in Turnbridge.
At Justin Cambria on Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on Twitter? Good
Absolutely.
for you.
So thank you guys for watching.
Good for you.
Thank you.